everybody, and welcome back to our show from this Corner TV. I'm your host and producer, Marilyn Dayton. And the reason I'm here today is to remind you that there are many people like myself who are here to help you with both your personal and professional lives, and also to inform you that there are organizations that offer you ways to help those you care about. One of the reasons I said that is that I got my pin today, which is a blue puzzle piece. And that is because I'm working on a fundraiser idea for Autism Speaks. If you remember, they were with us in June of this past year. And it's just wonderful to be able to give back to organizations such as that. They are celebrating 10 years this year, as of February. And it's just a wonderful thing to know that whatever the people that you care about, whatever is going on, you can find help, you can find information. It's the information world now. We can find out. I just ordered something from China that I haven't been able to find in this country or anywhere else, just a little thing. And the Chinese are the only ones that make it. And I thought, oh, okay, I gotta do what I gotta do, right? So I pushed the button, and how easy is that? So, at any rate, today we have another wonderful show for you. And it's kind of fun because I got to meet these people a year ago. And they're from Old Saybrook Middle School. And they do an event there that you really are going to want to know more about, the Safety Wellness Day. And so we have with us today, we have the event originator, Terry Savino. And then we have Mandy Ryan, who's the OSMS principal. And then we also have Maureen Kopis. Did I say it right?
You did.
Hey. And she's the one that's organizing it this year. And a real big learning curve here, huh?
It's a huge learning curve.
It's a huge learning curve. Yep. Well, let's start at the beginning, okay? And let's talk about when this idea came up and where it came from. Okay, so I guess I have to look at you, Terry, right?
Yes.
I ask you about that. So tell us the story.
Sure. So in 2010, the PTO was looking for a chairman of the Safety Day. The previous 2 years, they had a program that was a 1-hour program about the awareness of carbon monoxide poisoning. And that was started because one of the middle school staff members had some carbon monoxide exposure in her home where actually some of her family members did not make it, and the other family members actually had harm. And so this was started for them originally. So in 2010, they were looking for a new chairperson. So I volunteered, and I asked the principal at that time, Mike Rafferty, if I could sort of blow it up and make it an all-day program and have safety and wellness, because it's really important to educate on carbon monoxide poisoning, and we still have 2 grades that get that education, but there's a lot other important safety wellness things like concussion and fitness and exercise and healthy relationships that we thought it was important that the middle school kids hear. So that's how it began. Because I work at Middlesex Hospital, and I have fellow peers that can come and teach some of these programs, I knew that I'd be able to pull together about 50 different speakers. Some are from Middlesex Hospital, but also from the community. We get great community support from the local fitness centers, from the fire department, the ambulance, the police department. So we've been fortunate to have people come and present.
So you took a big risk by stepping up and saying, how about a whole day, and I'll organize it and contact everybody and pull it together.
I did. I did. My husband Vito has also helped out for the past 4 years, and it definitely, we had a committee. We worked very closely with the middle school principals, and Deb Pegnatero from the library was sort of our school contact. It took a team, but we worked really close together, and the focus was really about the kids and what information. We brainstormed about what topics would be important for that age group, and we all worked together, and we evaluate it every year to see if there's anything we can improve upon. So it's been great.
Wow. And so you're graduating, so to speak,
yes,
into the high school PTO world, and Maureen is going to be taking care of it this year. Before we talk more about the history and that kind of thing, what are some of the things that you learned this year that that you didn't know that were going to be a part of this event?
I didn't realize how many times I'd have to text and call Terry to see if I'm doing it right. And I am a nurse, a bedside nurse. I work at Yale New Haven Hospital in the pediatric ICU. So I don't have any business sense like Terry does. She's in a management position. So she comes from a very different type of mind and background. So I'm trying to learn the business angle and put it all together. So it's really not me doing it this year, it's Terry doing it along with me, and then hopefully next year Terry can really hand it off. Last year I observed, this year we're doing it together, and but it was a major undertaking by her, and especially now that I'm kind of in the thick of it, realize the time and the effort that she put into developing and kind of growing it over the last couple of years.
You know, one of the
Very
things that I
impressive.
noticed last year was the huge amount of involvement from everyone, from parents, teachers, librarians, school nurse, principal, and all of the people that came to talk to the kids. And it was just, I had never been to anything like that before, and I thought, every school should do this. And yes, it's a lot of work. But once you have kind of a template of and a process, then it seems like people can take that and make it their own. What are some of the things that you've seen happen as a result of this program that you started?
We've had wonderful feedback, and there's probably other things that have happened that we're not even aware of. We had one student who recognized stroke symptoms on his grandfather and called 911, and the ambulance took him to the emergency room, and they gave them the medication that dissolves the clot, and he was able to survive his stroke without any residual at all. We've had one student who who had an obstructive airway, and his brother did the Heimlich maneuver on him. He was choking on a piece of meat, and there were no other adults around, so he saved his brother. We had a teacher, we had a presentation about concussion, and that particular day, her son had stayed home because he had a headache, and he had a head injury from his sport event the night before. And after hearing the concussion presentation, she had concerns that her son had a concussion, so she went home and brought him to the doctor, and in fact, he did have a concussion. And there may be other cases out there that we're not even aware of, but we do know that we're making a difference with these kids.
I had heard some of the stories last year, and which just reinforced to me, this would make a great TV show. We're going to have these people on so they can tell their story about not just the event itself and how to coordinate it with the school and administration and everything, but how to get the community involved and then the results, because I think that's more important than anything. It's great when you have everyone pulling together to make something happen. I know I've been there. But to actually have it save lives, because that's what it did. The story you just told me, both, those are, when a child can save a life, that's significant, that's huge. So let's back up a little bit here. You said there was a safety program before you stepped up and said you wanted to do a full day?
Yes, and the focus was on carbon monoxide poisoning. They did make sure that all the students in the school system had a carbon monoxide in their homes, so the PTO provided carbon monoxide detectors to those families, and I believe the fire department donated some as well. So that was either 2 or 3 years, and then they were looking for a new chair, and I took it over. One thing that
You
we've
sure
done
did.
the last 2 years is the end of the day, we've had an all-school performance in the gym, which I think has made a really great difference in the program, because the kids, they're like sponges. The programs are interactive, and they're just taking all this information in. But by the time you get to 1:30 in the afternoon, they're exhausted. They've heard so much different information. So 2 years ago, we had the Harlem Rockets come in, and there was a basketball presentation. Last year, we had BMX bikers come in and talk about the importance of bike safety and helmet, and did a show for them. So I think that's really made it a wonderful sort of closing of the day.
Yeah, when I heard about that last year, I had to go somewhere else. Otherwise, I would have, gone in and peeked to see what it was all about. It sounded really, really great. The cooperation of the PTO and administration of the school. How does this work? I mean, some PTOs, they have some trouble, breaking through to, especially when you're talking about committing a whole day. How does that work?
Well, I think it starts with the relationship that the school has with the PTO in the first place. We have a very strong PTO that's supportive of all of the things that the school wants to do. So when they come to you and are asking to do something that's going to benefit children, you are always open to them because they've given so much. It just so happened that this turned out to be a wonderful event that, the PTO sponsors it financially as well. So the school's commitment is really about the day of instruction, but it's a day of instruction for children. It's just not the typical day of instruction for children.
Right.
So it's important for our kids.
It really is. And what is it that changed this year? I mean, other than the fact that you're trying to help and train Maureen to. What are some of the things? Do you have some new things this year that are going to happen?
Yeah, so we've brought in a couple new programs this year when certain speakers can't come back because they can't make the commitment to a full day. Mm-hmm. We're doing a piece on a presentation on Lyme disease and detection and prevention because of where we live. Mm-hmm. We're doing one on mindfulness. So some of the simpler things, targeting more, I think, to the 7th graders.
Doing healthy
relationships and dating violence for the older kids.
Right. And then we have a local attorney's office, Sushman Shapiro in New London. Mike Blanchard, a lawyer there who does a lot of internet law, is coming to speak to our students about internet safety and the consequences of behaviors and what the implications of their usage on the internet and social media can be.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I'm sure our viewers right now are going, I really wish that our school district could do something about that. And we'll talk more about that. But first, I would like to hear, even though I was there last year and I saw a lot of the involved people, I'd like to hear kind of a list of who is there and what they contribute. Who would like to?
Well, each grade gets a fitness activity. So for the 4th and 5th grade, it's the phys ed teachers in the school that do that, but we have the Valley Shore YMCA there. We have Shoreline Fitness there. We have Anytime Fitness there. We make sure the kids wear sneakers on that day because everybody gets a fitness activity. We have instructors from the school system. We have food and nutrition that comes and speaks. The Old Saybrook Youth and Family Services have several presentations that they do. This will be the 3rd year that we do CPR and airway obstruction for all the grades, and that's sponsored by the Old Saybrook Police Department. So the kids will walk over to the Park and Rec, and that gym, there's probably 30 mannequins there where the kids are actually doing their hands-on compressions. We have CTO that comes, and the other boating company, to talk about boating safety. Lifestar comes. They've been able to make it the last 3 years. So they're there at the lunchtime. The kids can actually go in. Lifestar, the fire department and ambulance are there.
And some HEV vehicles for safety that the police use. The children get some hands-on experience with them. They get to, get in and see what the first responders get to work with.
Middlesex Hospital does several presentations. They do stroke education, they do skin cancer, they do a nutrition one. This year I'm actually going to be doing hand washing and talking about the importance of hand washing.
Yoga one year for stress relief, right?
Yep.
The yoga
Yeah, we have that again this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say one of the really impressive things, because my kids had gone through it and I got the flyer at home and I read it and they talked about it. But when I actually went to the school last year and I walked over to the rec center where the police department was putting on the CPR program, to see a whole grade of 90 to 120 kids being taught the very basics of CPR just by pure exposure. You don't know when one of them are going to be with a grandparent or a parent or wherever they might be. And if they can just initiate the basic CPR, just the breathing and the compressions until somebody else can get there. I was really, to me, that was just mind-blowing last year that Terry had organized that and that the police department, I mean, they're all given up a day.
Yeah.
And they're in there with the kids, and the kids love it, and they do it to music, and you know, they make it fun so that the kids want to learn. And I thought that was such a great addition to the day.
And we're not just talking about someone coming and talking. We're actually talking about there's an ambulance they can climb on and look at. There's these bikes. There was a boat too last year, wasn't there, out
Yes,
front?
Ocean Performance and Seatow both bring their boats, and they talk about boating safety and life preservers, and the kids can look at the boats and see all the emergency equipment that they have on those boats.
And you know, another cool thing, last year, the woman next to me, who's an optician, Dr.
Lombardi.
Yeah,
Joe Lombardi.
Yeah, she had some measuring tools. She had the kids look at, I mean, it was, and I was after her, so they were all late coming over to me, which was fine. It was really interesting. They were getting their eyes kind of tested and things. I thought that was, wow, that is really great. You know, and one of the kids, well, actually several of them said, guess what my eyes are like? I just found out that I've got 20/20 vision. Wonder what that means. And then it was just so great. You know, and they had the little slip in their hands and stuff. And they get all these handouts, you know, that they all put in their little bags. Everybody's got a bag. And then I guess they're encouraged to take this home and show them to mom and dad and talk about them and that kind of thing. And I'm sure our viewers right now are going, wait a minute, you're talking about all these kids in a school. How do you organize it? How do you schedule so that small groups are going at a time to do this? You know, and I saw the matrix and everything last year, and I thought, okay, that's a major job right there, organizing that.
That's all Terry.
Yeah.
It's actually very easy. It's
Okay.
done by homeroom. So we rotate the kids by the homeroom teacher. And when we first plot it out, I color code each, we use an Excel file, and I color code each speaker. So when I line them up for grade, I make sure I don't have two colors in each grade to make sure that we haven't overlapped. And one thing that we do ask all presenters is that the presentations are interactive, because we really want the kids to be moving and to make it a fun learning day for them. So that's one thing, as each year goes on, we try to stress and make them as interactive as possible.
And it's interactive.
Yes.
The kids seem to love it. They really, they were very into it.
And
know?
the teachers love it. I mean, they thank us for having this day.
And they do, the teachers appreciate it, and they'll come sometimes later on in the year and they look at what the needs of the certain cohorts of students are, and they'll say, you know, I really think we should do something on Wellness Day on such and such. If it, you know, healthy relationships is one that they really talked about and said, this is really applicable to our kids today. And they'll come up with topics based on what they think the need is for that group. So they're always aware that this is there and this is a great opportunity to teach our kids about things that are really relevant to them in their lives.
And healthy relationships, you're talking about, for instance, how to deal with bullies, or?
I think the focus of this particular presentation is about your personal relationships. So healthy relationships in terms of balance of control, whether it be with friends, whether it be with someone that they're dating, but really looking at how you're presenting yourself and maintaining your own sense of strength and respecting other people's sense of strength as well. Because if they can do that, then they can navigate later on any of those relational aggressions that come up. But it's really about those more personal relationships at
Which I
this
think
point.
is great, because I don't know about you, but middle school is a tough time in anybody's life. And I'm watching now with my grandkids, they're both in middle school. And there's just so much drama going on because you're basically going from being a child to a teenager during those years, and it's a huge transition. You're trying to deal with your emotions. You're trying to figure out who you are and who you want to have as friends. And if somebody hurts your feeling, it may be the first time that it's ever happened to you, and you don't know what to do. So something like this, building and handling healthy relationships, I think is a great idea. I think it's wonderful. It's almost like I wish I was a kid again.
Well, there's I think a lot of the emotional and social needs of our kids in middle school, just like you say, I mean, that's really where their biggest time of growth is, other than the first 2 years of life, cognitively, socially, emotionally. And their social world is their world. And then there's other mental health issues that come to play that really have had, I guess, some more subtle positive effects. We do things on eating disorders, and there's been students who have reported some concerns about other students, and we've been able to intervene about self-injurious behaviors, whether it be suicidal ideations or just self-injurious behaviors. That they've come to us with that, and we've been able to get counselors to support and get the mental health that they need. I mean, I think society continues to put more demands on our kids, and there's always more mental health demands for them. So it's a great way to expose them to things that they might not realize other children are suffering with or dealing with. It kind of makes it safe for them to come out and say, wait, this affects me too, or a friend.
Exactly, because it's, especially when you have something going on and you're not quite sure who to talk to or what to do about it. And a lot of times we just bury it, and then it just grows and grows and outgrows what it could have been as far as being handled and taken care of. And we want our schools to be a healthy place for our youngsters, and a fairly safe place, as safe as we can keep them. And there's just, I mean, it's a different world today, and we have to be cognizant of the fact that it is a different world. And you're right, there's just so much stress on these young people. And of course, when I think about when I was going to school a long time ago, there's so much more to learn now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's-
The academic demands have increased substantially.
And then a few things have been changed, like the new math, but I don't think we should talk about that. Because whenever my grandson needs help with math, I go, okay, talk to Daddy or Mommy about that, because Grammy doesn't know the new math. I don't know how to do that, because he tried to show me once, and I went, okay, I don't get it. So
You're not alone.
yeah, that's that. But the thing is, I also get I hear that, you know, once you understand it, it makes life easier to figure out math. And I thought, okay, all right. I have a calculator. That's good enough. So here we are talking about a school that is offering, what I love is the commitment of the children, because they're enjoying this and they're learning it, the parents that are involved, that volunteer and that organize it, the staff, the administration of the school, and all of these community entities and people that commit a day to teaching these young people something so vital that, and when you're young, you absorb like a sponge.
Yes.
And it stays with you. I can remember learning how to count to 5 in Japanese when I was 7. I never forgot it. Didn't use it that often, but I never forgot it. And so I have to, number one, compliment you, and number two, ask you what you would suggest to the people that are watching. Think about this, and let's see if we can give them some tips and techniques about, number one, improving the relationship between the parents and the organization and school. Number one, so that you can team up to help the kids. Always put the kids first. And something like that, I think every school should have a program like this. And they should call it the Terry Savino Day.
That would be a perfect
That
name
would
for
be a
that.
good name. Very
Yes, I think it
appropriate.
would. It really would. And so when we come back in a few minutes, we're going to take a little break here in a minute. Let's talk a little bit about that, how we can encourage others to maybe take a step forward and talk to your school about even just starting maybe on a small scale to do something like this, okay? And so we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back in about 2 minutes, so stay tuned.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
Lights there, darts there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
So we've got some things that we're going to be sharing with you on the second half of the program, which is you've been watching these three representatives who are representing a team effort of, they say it takes a village. It does. And doing something this important for our young people. I'm encouraging you to listen, take notes, get out that pen and paper like I always tell you to, and take some notes, because this is really important. Our children are our future, and to teach them safety and wellness is just so very important. All of the things that we've been talking about. And so let's go back to when Terry took that step forward and said, let's make a day of it. So you're talking about a lot of planning and organizing. How long did it take you to put together a day rather than a couple of hours?
In the beginning, I'll be honest, it takes a lot of hours. I would recommend you start with brainstorming. Get a committee together at your school, do some brainstorming about what possible topics might be for your students, and then really look to your community. Who do you have in your community that can come in and be a speaker to you? There's, fitness centers, there's hospitals, nurses, there's VNAs, there's fire departments, ambulance. LifeStar has been great. There's Safe Kid organization that has come in the past, and really look and see what you have available in your community and even in your school system. Old Saybrook Middle School has many teachers that will present. They may present to a different grade than they actually teach in, but their school counselors will present. So really do an evaluation of what you currently have within your school system, and even get some kids involved in your committee. What do the kids want to learn about wellness? What are their fears?
That's important. Yeah. Okay, don't get scared, people, about what we're talking about, because it's worth it to make a commitment and spend a lot of work to get something going, because the second time it's easier. It's the first time when you're putting all of this together. So how long did it take you, and when did you start?
I started in the fall. The way that the PTO at Old Saybrook Middle School runs, they sort of have a calendar of when events are. So in the fall, they try to organize, or sometimes even in the summer, who's going to be the chairs for these different activities. So it was in the fall that I volunteered to take this on. And the first year, we actually had it in February. And then the second year, it was in February. And unfortunately, we had a snow day.
Oh, boy.
And it had to be canceled. So it was that point that we recommended that we not do it in February. Can you imagine if it was in February of this year?
Oh, that would not have been good.
So we recommended that it be an April event, because so much work and planning goes into this event. We had to reschedule it that year for the following week, and it was very difficult. So definitely pick a month that's not a snow month, or you're concerned about snow days.
Okay. And then what's the first step to organize the kinds of activities that you wanted to have?
Organize the activities, and then identify who could possibly be a speaker. Reach out to your community hospitals, to your local organizations, to your fitness centers, and everybody that we have as a speaker, we don't pay any of them. They're giving up their day to come and help educate our students.
No, you shouldn't pay anybody to do something. This is an investment in our community. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. What is it that you discovered that you then changed the second year? I mean, other than the date, of course.
One thing we changed, like I said earlier, was we requested it be more interactive. Don't just show a PowerPoint, because the kids, they get that in the school day.
Yeah,
so make it interactive. Make it a Jeopardy game. Make it stations. Maureen's daughter, when she heard I was doing hand washing, wanted me to do it in the 7th grade, because she had so much fun when she did that the year in the 5th grade.
She remembered it, 4 years later, and she's like, oh, can she present that again? So it's more the more hands-on you can be to make it fun, and you learn why you're having fun, and then it's not a stressful day for the kids as it might be sitting going to math, science, and English, So just to kind of break it up a little bit for them.
We have to remember these are children.
These are children.
And they do need that little bit of fun during the day. Matter of fact, I think there was my granddaughter, she's 14 now, but last year she was telling me that there was a study done. I love it when the kids tell you these things. There was a study done that if you did indeed have recess during the day, that it relaxed your brain, and then you could go back and be focused again in your studies the rest of the day, or something like that. And it's true, right?
True. So they just have a new state statute that children, kindergarten through 5th grade, are required to have at least 20 minutes of physical activity a day. But it ends at 5th grade, so now every school has to provide that for their students in the middle of the day. I think another key component is also keeping the sessions at an appropriate time limit, and Terry's done a great job of that, because our adolescents, all children, but our adolescents in particular, have very limited attention spans. And so to keep them in something that's manageable and hands-on, that's when they're getting optimal learning. And she's done a good job of planning that piece.
She's also switched it so that you don't get the same material. You don't get concussions every year. You don't get sun safety every year. So every year you're exposed to some old things, but some new things as well. And so that kind of keeps the kids a little bit more interested and a little bit more vested in the day.
I hadn't thought about that, because they don't want to have the same thing again, because I already learned it last year. So
yeah, she's totally has it organized that.
But that's
not
easy.
getting.
That is okay.
It's easy
The speakers stay with the same grade every year, and the kids will move on. So that way, they're not getting the same material. Now, there's 2 grades that get carbon monoxide, but each presenter does it a little differently. So they'll get it in 4th grade and they get it again in 7th grade, but it's presented differently with different speakers. A couple grades get concussion. Wildwood Pediatrics has been a speaker from the beginning, so they do the 5th grade students, and Connecticut Brain Injury Alliance does the 7th grade students on concussion. So they may get it again, but it's a completely different presentation. And they make it fun. Wildwood makes a brain out of Jell-O. So,
Oh, that's cool.
you know, they really make it fun for the kids.
And Terry's also done an excellent job of making sure that the topics are developmentally appropriate. So not only in the delivery of it, like the Jell-O for the younger children, but really for looking at what are the topics that are appropriate for which age group. And that can be difficult at times, especially when our school spans grade 4 through 8. So it's a big span, and you really need to make sure you're targeting the appropriate topics for the right grade level.
We have one speaker that I actually graduated high school with who took a chance a few years ago and told his story of how he got addicted to drugs after having surgery, and how what he lost over that period, and how he's come now to share his story with people for the kids to learn. I mean, when I first sat in his session and heard him tell his story, I had tears in my eyes, because this was a man who in high school was in the top of our class, but he took that chance and he comes back every year and tells his story. And it's powerful for those kids. I mean, I'll never forget one class. He asked the kids to raise their hand. How many of you know somebody who's an alcoholic? And some kids will raise their hand. And then he'll say, how many of you know anybody that does drugs or has problems with drugs? And more kids will raise their hands. And then he was an attorney. So he will say, how many of you kids know an attorney? And he will introduce himself as having been an attorney. And then he will say, how many of you know somebody that's all 3 of these? And usually no hands go up. And he'll say, you can all raise your hands because I'm all 3. And the mouths drop. Wow. I mean, it's just a very powerful presentation. And that's done to the 8th graders. So it's the older kids that are getting that information that need to know you have a responsibility to make the right choices. And that's what he tells the kids. It's all about the choices you make.
Wow. I'd like to hear that story.
Yeah, he's powerful.
He's very good.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you know, this is the way you reach the kids, you know. Make it a special event, number 1, and organize it the way you have, and have this, I mean, it still boggles my mind when I think of last year. And I probably walked around with my mouth open, just going, oh my God, this is amazing. Because it is. It's absolutely amazing. Think how much better off your school children are that live in your community because of this event. And this is something that you would wish that other communities could do and should do. And yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's just so worthwhile. It's the least we can do for our kids, you know? It really is. I'm a fan, can you tell? So what are some of the other things that you would like to put out there for people to think about in maybe starting small? If they say, I want to do this, but I can't do the whole day, you know, because it's like, I don't know how to do it. But what should I do first? What should I think first? What would be the best way to introduce this to our school district and say, you know, how do they do that?
If at all, keep it simple. So maybe focus on some really important safety wellness, like food and nutrition, exercise, concussion. I mean, we were talking about concussion before the state of Connecticut even made all this education mandatory. But the things, you know, healthy relationships. Keep it simple. Maybe do a half-day program.
Mm-hmm.
And make it very relevant, I think, to the children. So one of the things that, again, Terry's done a great job of is getting the feedback from the children at the end of the day. And they are very honest about the things that they think are applicable to their lives, the things that they enjoyed, and the things that they'd like to see again. So getting that student input is really important. And I think your suggestion earlier, Terry, about having a committee and have students on the committee to help guide what some of those topics are is really important. It also provides the school with further information that if it's not covered in Wellness Day and the kids are saying this is an issue, it's something that the school needs to take action on and really provide some more educational opportunities for them. So we do get some of that out of the feedback, and whether it be in small pockets and whether you do it in advisory as you follow up or through health classes, having multiple exposures to some of these lessons is really important.
And the school nurse has always been involved with presenting programs as well. So all the schools will have a school nurse. They could bring them in for discussing possible topics as well. And each school may have different priorities.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, but I'm not a PTO member, but I have a daughter who is, and she's very involved. She's going to go,
Don't be afraid
Mom,
to
please.
take the risk.
Because it's good for the kids, it's great for the kids. And the kids do value it. They really do.
And I think the presenters feel very valued after, and as much as the children get out of it, the presenters get that much out of it as well. They're giving back to the kids and seeing how the kids are receptive to their messages and ultimately helping. When you tell the stories about all of the children who have either dramatically saved a life or over time just by intervening, that the impact, people want to do it.
Absolutely. Does anybody else anywhere do this?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm sure they have some sort of safety, wellness, something going on, but I'm not aware of any other school that has it like we have it.
Wow. Gosh, this is amazing.
But maybe after this segment, there'll be like a Terry Savino Day. I think that's a great idea. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, you have done such a wonderful job. You really, really have. You've used all of your skills, really, and you've needed all of your skills to put this together. And and the cooperation of the school district and the administration. And I mean, I kept seeing you through that whole day. You were right there.
I like to learn about the things too. It's a learning experience for all of us.
And they open it up to board members, so the board members will come in and observe as well. So it's been a great day.
It is.
Good day for the kids.
And you've got one coming up, and it's April, it's on a Thursday?
April 9th.
April 9th. It's on a Thursday this year. You had it on a Wednesday last year, right?
We did. They go on vacation the week after that, so they decided to make it the Thursday. And Friday you have an activity that day or something.
I think we
Basketball
might have
Mania or something?
No, I think we might have a half.
Half day.
Yeah.
So we decided to push it to Thursday.
And that's, I wish I could be there, but I can't this year. But wow, this is amazing. I think back to when I was very involved when my kids were in school, and I think I told you I even ran for the school board and all of that kind of thing. If something like this had been available, if somebody had done something like this and I could pull all the information together and make it happen, what a difference it would have made. And I think it also helps the relationship with the parents, gets parents more involved because they see what their school district and their PTO are doing, which can be kind of a challenge, to get those busy parents involved in the PTO. Have you noticed a difference since you started this? More involvement with parents?
It certainly takes parent involvement for this activity. They run the entire break room for all of our speakers. I don't get involved in that at all. The PTO takes care of organizing that. They help us sign people in and sign out for the day, and then we have the students that will actually bring the presenters down to their classroom. And then in the library we have, where the Terry Broder Association was, we have several PTO moms in there. Some of them are nurses at Yale that will do some of the poison table or the concussion table. So it does take probably about 15, I would say 15 parent volunteers every year that help out on that day.
Wow. that's pretty amazing. I'm just, you know, obviously, because I was there last year and saw this happen, it impressed me. It really did. And it impressed me for several reasons. But the biggest impression was the kids. They were thoroughly enjoying it and loved telling me what they were learning. And you know, I was, you know, we were all interactive with what we were sharing with the kids. But the part that I loved the best was saying, what was your favorite part? What did you learn, especially next to me with the eyes and everything? They just couldn't wait to tell me. And then one of them, this little girl, she said, I think I have trouble with my eyes, and I think I'm supposed to go to a doctor and find out. It's just so cute, you know? It's just this awareness that you normally would not see, you know, or hear. It was just, you've got to start thinking about the students in your town, okay? And even if it's a couple of things, even if it's, you know, 2 focuses to start, call your school administrators and your school nurse and start doing something, because it's our responsibility to help our young people learn what they need to learn in order to have a better life. And it's just, I just love what you guys do. I really, really do. If somebody is serious and they're watching, what I did was I put down Maureen's contact information. So you would be the contact person that they would call, and then whatever they wanted to do, then you would say, that would be a question for Mandy, or that would be a question for Terry, or would someone even be able to come that day for a little bit and see what's going on?
I think we would be more than open to have somebody come and observe and try to grow that in their community or at their school, because what Terry started, you know, 5 or 6 years ago has just kind of grown every year, and I think it's just really it's just embedded in part of our middle school. And you know, and if you have that many kids that are exposed to all these things for what, 5 years in a row?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even if you just reach one of them and it makes a difference somewhere, and you know on that day that you're reaching a lot more than just one kid, so.
Well, it's pretty obvious,
Yeah.
you know, that you have reached some of these kids, well, all of these kids. But when I saw the TV cameras and that young woman that came in with a TV camera, and these 2 young boys sitting
Those were
on the
actually
couch.
her nephews. These were Mandy's 2 nephews.
Yeah. And that they represented themselves so well.
They did.
And I was
Very proud
sitting
of
there
them.
listening to the story, and I went, oh my God, that is, you know, that's amazing.
And the interesting thing about that story is that while to everybody else it is and was a very big deal, you know, the one brother's choking, the other one just immediately without thinking gets up and gives him the Heimlich, and he didn't really think much of it. It was just, well, that's what I had to do. And his mother, my sister, said, where did you learn that? And he said, oh, Safety and Wellness Day. He just didn't even think about it. It was just carried on and move on.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
It does.
You know, it really, really does. And so you should be very, very proud of what you've done. And it's just, I know I keep saying this, don't I? I keep repeating myself how amazed I really am. But I congratulate you all on helping your young people in your community. And I love the involvement of everyone coming together.
Absolutely. It's a community spirit for sure.
Yeah.
And even though your youngest is now gone out of middle school and gone on, you're still participating.
You can't get rid of me, I guess.
I think this is her baby and her creation, and it would be a hard thing just to let go and say, here's this piece of paper, and you know, you keep doing it, when she puts so much time and effort into it, her along with her husband and the rest of the school and the community. And I, for one, am grateful that she didn't just say, here, you know,
Here you
it's your
go.
turn.
Good luck. Yeah. It's, I can see it now. You can become a safety wellness for your children day consultant, going
There you
around
go.
the country,
Yeah,
go around the country and start up these programs because it's. I can see it. I can see it. Can't you? Yeah. And if you want to help, contact Maureen. We're going to have her contact information, and there it is. That's Maureen, and she will help you out on this. So so here you are. Okay, you're moving on up into high school with your youngest, and are you involved in the high school too, doing some things?
I'm actually on the Rams Booster, which is a group that's focused on making things for the athletics at the high school. I was on the music booster because my daughter's a senior in high school, moving on to college, and my son is a freshman. So I am involved in the Rams boosters right now. I haven't gotten involved with the PTO yet, but
That's because you're still
I work
involved with
full-time,
this PTO.
so yeah.
And working
But-
at the same time, of
Yeah.
course, you know. We women today carry a heavy load, you know. And so are you also looking forward, Mandy, to continue being part of this process and just...
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the benefit. I've been at the middle school, whether it be as principal or the associate principal. This is my 7th year, so I've been part of this since its inception. And I think, again, the impact that it has on our children is so great. And like you said, bringing the community together, because our school community, as represented in the town too, is so important. And I do see a lot of the feedback and it continuing to be an evolution. And not to scare Maureen, but maybe eventually we can have a parent component to it too, where we do offer some workshops for parents for some of those more pressing topics that come up. We were talking about that today, and the internet safety piece, and we have an expert who's coming to talk about it. But maybe that would be the next natural step, is to provide something for parents afterwards on really some of those current pressing issues for our kids. Because like everything, but especially education, student learning is about a partnership, not just with the community, but with parents. So we would like them to get more exposure to what's going on and be a part of the learning and the experience for their kids. So Maureen, that's her next part. She's going to have to start doing some evening things for parents on that day.
And she's sitting there going, okay, sure. Well, I have to say that that I wish you the very, very best of luck. You are surrounded by some very strong, involved people, and it's great to have that kind of help to
they're
carry it
very
on.
big shoes to fill.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I don't feel like she jumped out of the shoes. She's kind of
Which is a good thing.
partnered up.
Yes.
Yeah, we're like a 3-legged race right now. So.
Okay, I'm picturing that. So now, where are you as far as your children? Are you going to be going on to?
I won't be doing this for that long. I only have 2 more years in the middle school. I have 2 that are in the high school in 10th grade, and then a 7th grader. So
Okay.
I'm going to have to find another willing nurse or somebody that's committed to Safety and Wellness Day, and pull them in the next year or 2.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, because you've got to continue this. Because this is just an amazing program. And I think you guys should be picked up by national media and spread the word. I really do. Of course, I'm a little biased, not because I live in Old Saybrook or anything, but because I've seen what this program can do. And I appreciate so much the fact that you came onto our show today and shared your story. And I appreciate it very much. And it's going to be another great Safety Wellness Day in Old Saybrook, Connecticut. And I want to thank you too for joining us today. And as I normally do, I like to say a quote that kind of connects with the subject matter today. So what I did was I came up with a quote about giving what you have to share. And this is from Margaret Mead. And she said, I personally measure success in terms of the contributions an individual makes to her or his fellow human beings. And that's human beings of all ages. So thank you, Margaret Mead. And thank you, Terry Savino, Mandy, Ryan, and Maureen Copus.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was a
You're
great
welcome.
show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
My pleasure. And I'd like to remind you too that contact me and let me know what kind of show you would like to see. If you know of some programs out there that you want to spread the word. I know we've got some shows coming up about the Blues Festival in Mystic, which is going to be great. And we've had some other organizations like this one. And just let me know, okay? And give me some ideas, and we will have a show, okay? And I look forward to having you back again. So in the meantime, stay safe. It's getting a little warmer, so I don't have to say stay warm quite as much anymore. And we will see you next time.